What's up, everybody? That time of the day, that time of the week, that time of the month.
Yes, it is.
You're listening to The Good,
The Band,
The Ugly. I'm Big Papa.
and I'm just Jeff.
We have a great show for you today.
Yeah, we do.
Local.
Yes.
Local heartthrob.
Yes. Wow.
Local heartthrob. The John Stamos of Syracuse guitar.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And some would be knowing him as Love, Love, Love. That's for Billy Johnson. Love, Love, Love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's the only guy we ever went live with, just having his face on our Go Live.
I know.
And we were at a party, and Billy Johnson and I had they just kept pouring in, and all the hearts, and I was like, what the fuck?
Oh boy.
Anyways, but he's a great guy. He's a
Yes.
great guitar player. He's been in some great bands, and I'm
He has.
thrilled that he's finally doing this for us.
Yeah. It's only took him a year.
Yeah. And a lot of people will know who it is as soon as I said Love, Love, Love.
Yeah, they're probably hitting pause right now.
No. Hey, we want to welcome you guys to the Ultimate Ears studio.
Yes.
You can hear your own tears.
With Ultimate Ears.
And they are starting to warm up to that.
Yes, they are.
They are. I had a conversation with the vice president of sales, and
Does he like
they're
it?
starting to dig that phrase.
Good.
I don't know if I'm going to make any money off of it,
I think we should.
but yours truly and the Good, the Band, and the Ugly are now official New York State Ultimate Ears suppliers, dealers. So if you know anybody, there's Ultimate Ears coming out soon that are going to be as low as like a couple $100,
Cool.
all the way up to $4,000,
Yeah.
$5,000. So,
Wow.
so there's ones made for everybody. There's custom
Good.
ones. There's non-custom. So
Yeah.
if you've ever thought of having in-ears, use the ones that all the big shots are using.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
So that's our plug for Ultimate Ears. Let's bring our guest into the Ultimate Ears studio right now. And if you don't know it already, ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Hello.
Love, Todd Stiles from
Hold on, I gotta
all
write
kinds of
this down.
bands.
I gotta renew my restraining order. Billy Johnson.
Billy Johnson,
There you go.
Big Papa. There you go.
Yep.
What's up, guys?
Damp. Here's
How
your
you doing, man?
lollipop.
Good to see you.
Dude,
Same.
I am so happy to have you on this show. You have no idea. It's
been a while.
Well, it has.
It has.
And out of all the musicians that we've had on the show, we can tell you a handful that have been gracious and just down to earth, great people. And then every now and then you have like an
Yeah.
arrogant kind of pompous person. I'm not going to mention names because I'm not.
No.
Believe it or
Don't.
not,
This
I'm
one,
actually
yeah,
not
no.
going to. But it's not always the local people
No.
that are the most gracious.
Right.
Sometimes the local people are the dickheads.
Yeah.
But not this guy.
They can be.
Not this guy.
No.
Todd, you've always been really nice to everybody.
Everybody.
Like all the people that came out to see you. You know, and there's nothing worse for some musicians, and correct me
Yeah,
if
it's
I'm
important.
wrong.
It's important.
You know, when you get off stage and you've just got done doing, well, back when we did 4 hours,
Right.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
and you're on
Those
that
are the long-
concrete stage and you're just, your legs are tired and you're just, you know, you give
You've
it
had
your all.
enough.
Yeah.
Todd's never been one to be like, yeah, see ya. He would sit and just smile and talk.
Pack it in and head out.
Yeah.
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 Right,
Now
right.
you always talk to everybody and
Yeah, it's really important.
you know, so
You know,
you're,
just to mingle, and it wasn't forced or anything. It was just go down and talk to the people that came out to see you. You know, it's
because
super important.
there's so many bands out there that they could go see on any given point.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're one of the reasons they're there, you know, and
Yeah.
the bands that you're in, have been in, recognize that, you know, not only are you a phenomenal guitar player, but you really bring it to the crowd.
Yeah, and I've always said I may not be the best guitar player, the flashiest or whatever, but I bring a lot to a band where social media and I get out and talk to the people, and it's always been my thing to do the set list. And one thing I learned early on was that picking the set list, how important it is to play what the crowd wants, not what you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So that was always, a key element I think I brought.
That's always my problem.
And, yeah. If people are bringing these songs, you'd be like, we can't play that. You're going to see people's asses headed towards the, bathroom or the bar or whatever when you play it. You don't want any beer break songs.
No,
but you want every song to be that, whatever band you're playing. If you're in a cover band, every song you're playing is that band's encore. Think of it that way.
Yeah.
Like that. So it's just whatever, how many 2, 3, 4 hours you're playing, it's encore after encore after encore. You don't want any filler in there.
I might have to just send him. I'm going to send you my set list, and you'll be like, "No,
I'll pick it apart.
No,
this one, yes, no,
right."
No, you want
nope,
want people
sounds
to
like
well, you're down to 2 songs now.
Yep.
Great.
Right.
Awesome.
If I had my way, I'd be playing, King's X and Lynch Mob.
We are. We are playing
right.
2
Take
Kings.
it off your list.
Take it off your list.
Take it off.
We're playing 2 King's X songs.
No, take it off.
No, I'm telling you, King's X got some great songs. I don't care.
They do. Like I said, I'd play all Gretchen Goes to Nebraska if I wanted to, but
right.
You're not. People are gonna be like, "What the hell is?" Yep.
Did you go to the Lynch Mob show?
I didn't. No, I didn't. It's
fucking
I'm
backyard, dude.
It's like a weeknight. I know, and he's in my top 5 of all time guitar players, and
yes,
it's probably top 3. And did you go, Jeff?
No, unfortunately, I didn't. I wanted to.
And if it was a weekend,
bingo.
And I'll probably regret it,
Yeah.
one of those things. But we Scars and Stripes, he played in Auburn maybe 5, 6, 7, I don't know, probably
it's
more
Susie's.
At Susie's, and Scars opened up, and I literally stood like right in front. I was from me to this, away from you guys. So just all night, I was videotaping and trying to watch the whole thing. It was incredible. So I don't think I'll ever top that experience. And then after the show, he just hung out, and he'd give us his guitars and play the skull guitar, and he'd be like, "I can't believe this is like the 16-year-old in me was just like,
yeah." It's funny. We usually get to this.
Right now.
We get to this point in the show where we ask you what of your most holy fuck moments, but that must have been it. I mean, that's one of them.
That's up there. Yeah, that's up there. I've met some cool guitar players. I've met Nuno Betancourt, and like Joey Molland, who just passed away. I was lucky enough to meet him, and in passing, I'm not saying I have good relationships with these guys, but it's just kind of cool to meet them, or at a show, or if you open up for them and hang out afterwards. It's just kind of neat. I had that luxury.
Had that luxury out at NAMM to meet a couple of the guys that I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm. Just like Dave Ellefson from Megadeth, or Joey Allen and guys like that from Warrant. To have those conversations, and they're just such down to earth people,
Absolutely, yeah.
And those are the people that there are some people they say don't meet your heroes,
right?
Because and then when you do, and they're like, wow, what
the hell,
Mm-hmm.
So Todd, your background in music, did you come from a musical family? Did your parents play, siblings?
My dad was a drummer, and my mom was always singing in the house, and there was constantly music playing.
What kind of music? What kind of music did your father drum?
Beatles, a lot of Beatles. Sly and the Family Stone, James Taylor, Mac Davis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fifth Dimension. Like it wasn't just any specific. Genre. And there's pictures of me with big headphones on when I'm like 2, sucking my thumb, and I got Let It Be by the Beatles in my lap, and I'm just like enthralled, like, well, this is incredible, and then I started getting into Mac Davis. I don't know if you guys remember him at all.
Yeah, I do.
Probably not. He had like a variety show. Yeah, he Baby Don't Get Hooked on Me, and then he had a variety show, and I used to record it, on my little cassette recorder, probably, and I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I would just play it back and listen to it over and over again, and like memorize it, and then as a couple of years went by, 5 or 6, that's when I found Kiss, and that was the end of it.
That's
Everybody says
really,
that though,
and that's you probably hear that from a lot of a lot of people. Like just the you just saw them, and you couldn't keep they were like superheroes with guitars, and
right.
Actually, I think
just incredible.
For me, I think one of the coolest stories was Joel Hoekstra. He saw AC/DC.
AC/DC, yeah,
and that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Well, and Taj Farrant,
right?
Yeah,
AC/DC at 5, on his father's shoulders.
Yep.
He looked down and he said, "Dad, that's what I want to do."
Yep.
And then 3 years later, the kid's getting signed by Gibson at 8 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just, and for those of you who don't know, that episode will be up next week. Yes, it'll be up next week.
Yep.
Our hour with Taj, and just that was a great interview.
It was.
So,
cool.
what a just down to earth guy and grounded.
That's awesome.
But it's cool when you grow up in a musical family.
Yes, yeah, and my mom. I remember. I think we were at Kmart in Edgewood or something, and I saw Destroyer, and she looked at it. She goes, nope, we're not getting that. And then we flipped it over.
Right.
Flipped it over, and she's looking at the song. She sees Beth on there. She's like, okay, I like that song. It can't be that bad.
Right.
So luckily, that song was on there, and, it was, the rest is history.
Yeah.
And then I, progressed to, Van Halen. And, once we got into the more of the mid 80s, George Lynch and Warren DeMartini and Van Malmsteen. And we grew up in I think the perfect time.
Oh God.
Honestly.
We did.
I would never change anything for the time that we grew up in. It was literally every week there was 2 or 3 CDs that were coming out.
Yes.
That I still play to this day.
Yeah.
You don't get that anymore.
No,
you don't.
It was incredible. And honestly, when I was that age, I thought I was going to go on forever. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I remember when Queen's Rage for Horror came out, and I was like, this is like metal of the future, and and I'm like, this is going to be what metal sounds like 20, 30 years from now, and then didn't kind of work out that way. But I think when you're younger, like this, you just felt like that was going to be the music that was going to go on, and
for sure,
it's really, all that music I feel like is really aged well.
It has aged well, and luckily we were
the people that play it haven't aged well, but
no, but you know what? But the people,
most of them have not.
But the people that listen to it, we have kept it. I mean, I don't know if it was our age that music meant even more than it did. Guys grew up in the 60s and late 60s, early 70s. The world was a different place. Music played a big part of it, but they were focused on so many important issues.
Yeah, they were.
Vietnam was going on, this and that.
Yeah.
We didn't have any catastrophe. We didn't have a pandemic. No. We didn't have a war. We had wars when we were older, but when we were that age, music was all defining. You were defined. Your genre was your persona. You were a metalhead.
It was.
You were the guys or gals listening to gals. I sound so fucking old. You were the Duran Duran, NXS, Flock of Seagulls. You were the Ramones. You were those guys. You were in those. But the problem back then with us, I think, we stayed in those lanes, and a lot of us didn't want to come out of those lanes.
I know.
No, and if you got caught listening to like the Grateful Dead or anything country. It was like,
what the fuck, dude?
What are you doing?
Yeah. Country was another planet. There was one guy, and I grew up in Lafayette, and it was a small class. I had like 50-some people in my class, and we had like one guy that listened to country. He was like an outcast. He was like, you listen to what?
Yeah.
Country, like, it just didn't make any. Most people were into the, like the Van Halens and the real popular Bon Jovi and stuff like that, and then the Duran Durans. And I remember when I was in probably like 13 and Ride the Lightning came out, and I bought it. You remember back in the day, you would buy records just based on the cover.
Yes.
Oh God,
You'd look at a cover and be like, "This looks awesome."
Yes.
You know what I mean? And like the first Queensryche record, I can name 100 records I bought just based on the cover. There was no video, there was no internet back then, and I flipped over the Metallica Ride the Lightning, and I'm like, oh my God, these dudes are so ugly. I gotta see, you gotta see what this is all about.
Right.
And and I fell in love with Metallica. I went through a Metallica phase, and everybody in my school picked on me relentlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when Master Puppets came out,
mm-hmm.
and these guys they bought Master Puppets and they brought me to their house, and they took Master Puppets and they threw it up in the air and they shot it with a shotgun. And they're like, "This is what we think of Metallica." And then, these are the guys that 5 years later, when the Black Album comes out, and they're all, they got their backwards hats on, and they're like, Metallica.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, fuck you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
I'm a little older than you, and because I graduated in 85. And, so Twisted Sister was fresh out. Motley Crue's Live
Wire, like Under the Blade era.
It was,
right?
And it was full pink makeup,
Yeah.
Still playing like clubs in Lost Horizon and shit.
Yeah.
And those people are like, how could you listen to this shit?
Yeah.
So I was the humiliated metalhead, and that's what metal was back then.
Yep.
Yeah, there was Motorhead, Venom's, Slayer was just coming on the market, but the commercialized heaviest stuff out then, you weren't close to the Anthrax. You weren't close to, you had Anvil, YNT, Quiet Riot, Scorpions, stuff like that. And,
sure.
But I got humiliated because all these people in my school were all like Duran Duran, NXS. The girls were into Madonna.
Oh God, yeah.
Especially
where I came from.
I used to pick on the people that liked Duran Duran and Madonna and stuff, and now I love that stuff.
Yeah, me too.
I do. I find like "Save a Prayer" by Duran Duran is one of the best songs. There's just I have a playlist of obscure '80s songs. Like I would have picked on that person mercilessly if they had played that around me back then. But now I love that. And it's great.
I mean, I became like an REM fan watching this documentary on them, and I went, wow,
yeah. How stupid was I back?
Never gave him a chance back in the day.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah, REM. I thought they were a local band back in the day because they had a song called Orange Crush.
Yeah.
They had a song called Orange. So I'm like, they went to SU, and I thought they were a local band. No clue. Years later, I'm like, no, they're not local.
Not even close.
That was foreign to me. Like alternative music, anything was like, so foreign. I was so narrow-minded with the guitar, and I don't regret that at all. But now I've definitely expanded my.
Well, it's funny.
Oh, God, yeah.
Jeff and I were at the Turning Stone one night, and who was playing? It was Showtime. Showtime was playing, and they play just a variety of everything.
Yeah,
and we're like singing a lot. I was like, dude, this is awesome. I said, I love every one of these songs.
Yes,
and back when they were new,
right?
No,
you were like a closet listener of this stuff. It's like you still won't admit to like Boy George or anything, but still,
I wouldn't today.
Duran. But
I listened to like the Police and stuff, and that was like the furthest I got out of the hard rock metal.
Right.
I thought, they were great. But.
Well, U2 was another band that kind of captured the minds, and all of a sudden these people just were like losing their mind, like because it was nothing they'd ever heard before.
Right.
And then they were in their own lane.
They were. Well, I remember the first thing I saw them probably was the New Year's Day video, and then a couple of years later after that, they put out the Live at Red Rocks.
Yep.
And it was on MTV all the time, and that was like incredible. It was raining, and and then they had the EP they put out, and I wore that out.
Yeah.
So U2 was another band I was into early on, but definitely it was the guitar bass bands that I was into, and then in 7th, 8th grade, I started a high school band. With my good buddies, and we did the local assemblies. And we'd harass the principal, and they'd like shorten all the periods throughout the day, and then we'd set up in the auditorium, and we'd go all the way down to the other end of the school and get all the tables for the lunchroom.
Yeah.
And we'd wheel them all down, and we'd set them up in like platforms on the stage, and so that we could walk on them and everything. And then they all the kids in the school would be there. And it would be like a 40-minute set, and we'd just be jamming out. They'd be calling the buses, and we're still jamming out. And you see all the kids leaving to get on the bus, and
they're still there.
It was so much. They're still, it was a lot of fun.
Is there pictures? Is there pictures of any of this?
I have a video of all this.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Send it to me.
Okay, it's hysterical.
Send it to me, and we may, if we can, I'll try to put it like like
that'd
right
be funny,
over between the two.
Yeah. All right.
While we're talking, we can have this playing in the background. Maybe not the music.
I had a reunion years back, and I took it and put it on a DVD for all the guys and gave it to them.
That's
awesome. Here you go. Have fun.
Right.
Now, where are those guys? They playing still? Those?
They still dabble.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're in bands or anything like that, but they don't live around here anymore. But unfortunately, one of them passed away a few years ago, and so but I still keep in touch with those guys. They're best friends, and there's one of those relationships with it. Anytime you see them, it's like you pick right up where you left off.
Oh yeah,
and
you can not see each other for 6 years, and
special.
6 years goes by, you get together, and you said, you're like.
I mean, we grew up together,
Yeah.
And then we ended up our senior year. We ended up writing some originals, and we went to the Lost Rise, and they used to have a showcase night, on Thursday nights.
Oh, okay.
We harassed Scott Sterling. And,
you know what? You and I talked about this earlier. Give me Scott's.
Like in August. Yeah.
Give me Scott's first reaction to you.
Yeah. So we so anyways, we got a showcase night at the Lost Rise, and it was August of '89, so a million years ago. And they sandwiched us in between two other bands. They had like a 45-minute set. We played like half originals, half covers. We were doing like You Really Got Me, and we did Purple Haze and some Molly Kumpai. I don't remember everything, but they made some originals, and then at the end of the night, Scott was like, "You guys are great. I'm going to book you for another one." He goes, "But your guitar player, he's a prima donna."
Wow, what a great judge of character!
I know.
Like, what?
He saw what we saw so many years before us. Wow.
Your guitar player, he's a prima donna. I'm like, Jesus,
I will.
Okay, so you knocked
that's
me
crazy.
Down
I'm gonna see. I will see Scott tomorrow. I will see Scott tomorrow at open mic night.
I told him about this. Yeah, I told him about this story before.
That's
awesome.
And it's funny because we everything comes full circle, and I ended up doing one of the vinyl shows a few years ago. We did the Sticky Fingers Rolling Stones album in its entirety, and he had a lot of the lead. Him and Chris Heels did the leads, and then I had the acoustic guitar, handled the acoustic guitar stuff on like Wild Horses and Dead Flowers. I think that's on that record.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because we ended up for Wild Horses sitting next to each other on the stage at the Palace Theater, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. You know what I mean? How things have just come full circle, and he's a great guy.
Still a prima donna.
But right away. Yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah, see, Scott's never been a poser.
Right.
No.
Scott wears leather pants and chains and rock and roll garb
still
24/7.
Yeah.
I mean, I was at Pump House Pizza or the Pump Pizza or whatever, where the new open mic night is
the old
Tuesday,
Woodies.
the old Woodies. And Scott comes walking in. What's up, bro? What's up, man?
Yeah, he's a rock star.
Got all the chains.
Always.
Scott, he's the same way he looked in 1980 when I met him in 1986. You know.
Yep.
And I said to Scott, I want to have you back on the show and talk nothing but Lost Horizon.
I know.
Yeah,
that'd be a good one.
And Todd, I don't know if you know this, but right here behind Jeff, that's
Greg
Italiano. Yeah,
I can tell it's him from here.
Yep.
Awesome.
Just
there's some.
How do you not?
Place, huh?
How do you not pay?
You're right. How do you not pay homage?
Yeah.
To
I know. Yeah.
He did so much for local music.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you to this day, we're talking to Rudy Sarzo from Quiet Riot, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Lost Horizon. Yeah, that's that place with the fucking hole in the middle. Yeah,
right. Yeah. I don't know if you remember back in the day in the guitar. You might remember Jeff and they used to have the guitar. I don't remember Guitar for the Practicing Musician. One of those. They had like a annual poll,
yes,
readers poll, and every year the Lost Horizon would be like the number one small club in the country. It'd be up there with like dingbacks from New Jersey or whatever, Stone Pony and Asbury Park. It was always neck
in
and neck with those, because everybody went through there.
They did too.
Yeah.
When we do record that episode, Scott is going to set it up. We're going to record it on stage at the Lost Horizon.
Oh yeah, great
telling
idea.
the stories, and maybe we'll bring on some guys to come walk on. Maybe you can come up and tell a little story and say, "Hey, remember this prima donna?"
Yeah. What's the best show you guys have ever seen there?
Oh man,
dude, I've seen so many. You got to keep in mind. I mean, like I said, being a little older than you, I started going.
Right.
My first show at the Lost was 1983.
Mm-hmm.
Twisted Sister. I was way underage.
Yeah.
My father got us in. It was me, John Hamilton, Frank McQueenie, Randy Barrington. And they had us sit at a table. Greg Italiano says, "Do not move from this table," because we were like 15.
Right.
And
no trouble.
Yeah, and we sat there. Twisted Sister played. We were like, we're not worthy.
Right.
Got autographs.
Right.
Fist bump.
Yeah.
Still wearing all this stuff. Dee Schneider gave me his pink Twisted Sister headband. So to me, that's my. Where is it? I got it here, don't I?
Yeah, it's there. There it is.
What is that from?
That is a photo that Delilah Crehelli's a photographer, and she followed around.
Man,
Dee, and took pictures of a show out of New York City, and I was like, "That's how we got her on the show, was because this photo I saw." I was like, "I got to find out who the photographer was, because that just captures that is fucking Dee."
Yeah.
At his age, giving it,
he's still badass, man.
1,000%.
Yeah.
But as far as the best show there, I've seen, it's hard.
Yeah, I know.
Lita Ford, Bon Jovi.
Oh no,
Quiet Riot.
Right. You had
Skid Row.
Yeah, Doc.
Warrant. Great White.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, all of them.
I mean, you go to, you think that one weekend, they had a weekend there in 1987, Halloween weekend. You had Red Hot Chili Peppers play there on Friday night, and then on Halloween, Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Right.
Yeah.
I was able to see Typo Negative there.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw Kid Rock.
Crazy.
It's nuts.
I mean, everybody played there.
Right. Yep.
And
it's like Blue Oyster Cult went in there
as
underweight,
fat white underbelly or something.
And they
something
sucked.
Like that.
Yeah, they're terrible.
There was like 12 people there, dude.
Right.
I was like, holy shit. But the most fun show was Living Color. I had a fucking blast with those guys.
Wow.
And I was just at that age where I went from hanging out and playing to always being around. And then Greg would have me run some of the artists around. I got to drive around Lita Ford all day once. She's like, "Come on, we're gonna pretend you're my boyfriend today." I'm like, "Yeah,
okay."
Pimples,
okay.
All right.
19-year-old
kid going Lita Ford. We went to Carousel Mall, and because it had just opened, and we walked around, and I was.
Were you two arm in arm in the record store?
Yeah, I was arm and stiff legging it. Kidding me? It was freaking Lita Ford. She's still hot.
Too funny.
So yeah.
I never got to see Twisted Sister. I had tickets to see them at Weedsport.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys remember this. It was Twisted Sister, Rat, and Mama's Boys.
Yes.
Yep.
And it was July of '84, and something happened to D, and they never, they canceled. Rat ended up playing longer. I mean, how much longer they could have played? They only had one record.
I don't either.
Right.
At the time. But it was a bummer. I was still glad to see Rat because I was really more of a Rat fan.
I remember my first Rat show was Rat, Motley Crue, and I think Crocus or Fastway or somebody.
At the Lammer?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was just Rat and Motley Crue.
Was it just the two of them?
It was just Rat and Motley Crue. And then I saw him again. I think it was Rat and Bon Jovi.
And
Bon at the War Memorial.
For Rat, right?
Yes.
Didn't Bon Jovi? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, I saw Bon Jovi open for 38 Special.
No shit.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. Like Slippery When Wet had just come out, but it hadn't broke yet. Like it was.
Right.
So they must have been committed to those dates or something, and they were getting more popular by the time that show happened, and I remember half the people left after Bon Jovi was.
Todd, what was your?
Were there just to see them.
What was your first show? What was the first show you ever saw?
Who?
You.
First show.
What was the first show you ever went to?
Rolling Stones at the Carrier Dome in 1981.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 10. I was 10 and a half. And I asked my dad. My dad he was a salesman and used to go out of town. And I remember when tickets went on sale, I called him and I was like, I never asked my dad for much. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like scared to call him. And so we called him. I think he was in Buffalo. And we called him and I'm like, Dad, I really want to go see the Rolling Stones. And I didn't think, he was ever going to get the tickets. And he comes home with two tickets to the Stones at the Carrier Dome. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I still remember it like it was yesterday. Yeah, it was awesome.
My first show was Dokken and Sammy Hagar.
Nice at the War Memorial.
Yes.
Was that the show George Lynch broke his ankle?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the one.
Yeah. Yep. Too funny.
Yep.
What the hell did I don't even know my first show. I think my first big arena show was Foreigner 4 with Bryan Adams at the Dome.
At the Dome, yeah.
Yeah,
that was 82.
Was big. Yeah, 82, right.
Yeah.
And then
I got a memory like Rain Man. I can remember dates.
Yeah.
Even even of concerts. But even of concerts I didn't go to. I know the dates.
Really?
It's weird. So that show was in April '82. I don't know the exact date, but it was definitely.
And then there was
April,
a show there was so many. Oh, there was so many good shows.
Dude, Weedsport.
So many good
Weedsport was in my backyard.
Yeah, what's that?
Weedsport was really in my backyard.
Yeah.
And it was just
every
weekend.
Yeah,
there was somebody there.
Every weekend.
Well, we always had. I mean, the War Memorial had some. I mean, I saw Kiss. I can't tell you how many times at the War Memorial. I saw. I've told the story. Jackson Brown.
Yeah.
I saw Jackson Brown at the War Memorial. I didn't know who he was. This guy standing
incredible.
outside for.
I literally everybody's played.
Yeah.
And
you want free tickets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Crazy.
Elvis was actually scheduled to play
right before he died.
Yeah, it was like a week later or something. But
yeah.
I remember going to the shows back in the day. I've got 4 frames of ticket stubs. I kept them all, and back in the day, it would just be one right after the other.
Yeah.
And I remember at the show they would announce another show.
Yeah.
Like Ed Levine or Dave Frasino would come out and be like,
right.
Yeah, everybody, you guys are pumped up, and we got a concert announcement, and they'd announce it, and the next day you'd go out and buy the tickets for that. It was just continuous. Or back in the day when they used to have concert announcements, and I know, oh my God, dude, I couldn't even concentrate during the day at school. I'd be so there's a concert announcement. My whole day would be focused on just hearing what it was going to be, and then you go home at 3:00 or whatever, and they announce it, and it was so exciting back in the day.
Ticketron,
it was so exciting.
Like in 82, 83, 84, we were
Yeah.
well under the age of
Yeah.
being able to do whatever the fuck we would go and sleep out
right
for tickets for days.
Oh, I know.
2-3 days. Like Kiss, I wanted front row. We got there 2 days early and slept
on the
concrete in front of the War Memorial. I'm like, what parent would let their 15-year-old go sleep in front of the War Memorial for 2 days? No, you're sleeping next to some guy pissing himself.
Yeah, those were the days. And tickets were like what, $7, $8, $9, $10, and then
maybe.
Yeah,
but the big concerts might have been 17.
Right.
Like Kiss.
I remember when it went over the $25 mark. Every time it would get a different level. It'd be like, I can't believe it. This is crazy. And then 94 when the Eagles Hell Freezes Over tour, $100. They were the first band to crack that $100 level, and it was just mind blowing. Like, are you $100?
Well, look at it now.
On her, it's out of control. Like, you really have to choose,
out of control.
Okay, well, I'm going to go to one concert this year, and
Metallica.
Right, it sucks. Yeah,
this is it.
$400 average for shit seats.
Right.
And now I'm to the point in my life. I'm like, seen them twice.
Yeah.
Don't need to go again.
I saw him on the Masters of Puppets tour for opening for Ozzy.
Yes.
For
at the War Memorial.
Yeah. At the War Memorial.
Yeah. Saw that
with Cliff Burton, and how are you gonna beat that?
Yeah. You're not.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I'm not being cheap. It's just I don't need to go.
I know.
Todd,
if you could pick a show from that era, what would be one of your favorites?
I saw Kiss at Creatures of the Night tour at the War Memorial, and I remember being just so bummed out because Ace Frehley wasn't there, and he was like the guy who really got me into guitar playing.
Yeah,
and like I didn't know until I got there, and they had the merch set up.
Yeah,
and they had the shirts.
Without him,
this guy with this weird makeup. I'm like, who the hell is that guy? I didn't know until that. And they're like, yeah, Ace isn't here. They got a new guy in there. And I was just so like bummed.
Yeah.
I mean, I still enjoyed it, but it was so bitter sweet.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Now you know who's coming in and out of bands. Back then, you had no clue.
No clue.
No, not till they got here. We didn't have the internet.
Yeah. No.
Right. No, nothing like that. No. Pink Floyd at the Dome in '87 was
great.
Incredible.
That was great.
I didn't go.
I did.
And because that was another thing. You didn't have video. You didn't know what to expect until now. You know everything, but back then you just sit there and there's stuff coming. It's quadraphonic sound and stuff.
Yeah.
Coming, blowing up on stage and
Yep.
coming from behind you and around. And I was just like, it's just mind blowing,
Mm-hmm.
And that was incredible. But there's so many great shows, so many good shows.
I would say I was fortunate enough to see the original Alice in Chains lineup with Mike Starr,
with
Lane Staley,
Weedsport.
Yes,
yeah.
They
Clash
opened.
of the Titans.
Yes,
that's
the one.
They opened for
Slayer, Megadeth, and Anthrax.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
awesome show. And what's his name was on our show?
Dave Ellefson.
Dave Ellefson was telling us the story.
Told a story about how they became their opener.
Right. Like they had heard so many things, and then they went and saw him in Europe.
Yeah.
And they had a T-shirt made that said European tour instead of European tour. European, and it showed this guy like pissing on the British flag or something. And they were like, "We got to see these fucking guys."
Yeah, right.
He said, he goes, "We were standing there watching him going, holy fuck."
Yeah.
They were not embraced.
No.
Very well.
They were not.
Not at all.
But
no, they weren't like a people pleasing band.
They blew up.
Awesome, amazing. They had no choice but to blow up.
Right. And
and incredible.
Mary Jo Spillane.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you know Mary Jo?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Mary Jo was tour manager for Slayer at that point.
Yeah.
So she's got some stories about how that all,
crazy.
Slayer always went on last, no matter what.
Yeah.
How do you follow Slayer?
I know.
Right. So and
no matter who you are,
right.
She would say their fans would like if they would put walls up, and they would be like climbing walls to get to them. It's like it was like that movie X, where all the zombies are climbing the fucking walls. I mean, she said it was just an insane show, And I never went and saw Slayer.
That was the only time I've seen them was at that Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
Yep.
The only time I've seen Megadeth too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't seen them after that.
Oof, so good.
Yeah, they are.
So good. I saw them at the Lost Horizon, dude.
Nice.
Played the Lost Horizon. I think it was a piece.
So I
think so.
Yeah, I went to concerts. That was my thing. Hundreds and hundreds. Like, and then I started getting back into the guitar playing. And that's kind of when I came onto the scene again.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really play in any bands for 10 years.
Oh wow!
So we know you from Scars. We know you from
When did
Country Swagg? But when did you start
playing? Actually, when did you start playing bass?
So I'll tell you. I'll try and make
that's fine.
Story kind of short. So when I got back into it, I didn't know anything. So I started going out and seeing the bands.
Yeah.
At the time, like Under the Gun was new. One Hard Crank, I went and saw them at Sam's Lakeside, and I just kind of stood and watched and just kind of get a feel for what what's going on. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try and get back into this playing. And there was an ad in the Syracuse New Times for it was One Hard Crank, former members of One Hard Crank looking for a singer and a guitar player. So I'm like, oh, what the hell? reach out, and it was Joe Rabine.
Oh.
And so I ended up going to an audition. They used to practice in this upper, I don't even know it was a house. I don't know what the hell it was, but upstairs in Camillus, and this little rinky-dinky room that they rented. And they had the song list on the wall of all the, One Hour Crank songs, because Jake had, decided to take a break for a little while at the time.
Yeah.
That's why they were looking for a singer and a guitar player, because he was doing both. And
right.
So they had the list of songs on the wall, and I didn't know one song. It was all the modern rock stuff, which I hadn't been listening to it. And the one song was Bad Religion, Godsmack. And I go, is that the band, Bad Religion? Because that was the only one that even looked remotely familiar. Like, no, it's this song. So it was bad. So anyway, I'm like, okay, well, just play. And so I'm watching these guys play, and I just was watching the other guitar player and just picked it up. You know what I mean? I'm just like, okay, this is pretty simple, drop D and whatever,
right.
Same patterns over and over, go to, verse, chorus, verse, whatever. And after I left, I goes, that was terrible. They're not going to want me in this band.
They're not calling me again.
And what the hell? It was embarrassing.
Right.
The next day, Joe calls me, goes, you're in the band. We want you in the band. I'm like, wait a minute. You sure you got the right guy?
Is this the right number?
You're that prima donna from 1987, aren't you?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So he goes, I see you got potential. You know what I mean? Whatever, you picked stuff up quick. So he sent me 2 CDs of the set list, and he goes, take a month or whatever and learn it. And we ended up not playing for a whole year, not because of me, but we couldn't find a singer.
Right.
And we were going through auditions for the singer, and then the bass player quit, and then the other guitar player quit. It was like, this isn't going to happen. But, we were persistent, stuck with it, and we ended up finding Eric Elove.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that became Grind. And we did that for, I think our first show was January of 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We played at the Ice House, had about 150 people there, and it went great. Our second show was scheduled to be at Sam's Lakeside. The week get closed. So like on a day we got an email or something, whatever it was at the time. Sam's Lakeside is closed. Your show's canceled. So we ended up calling the Lost Horizon, back to the Lost Horizon. They had no bands booked that night, so we moved the show there. Ended up having a couple hundred people, and that band was pretty successful early on.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some great gigs. We played at the 95X Fest at the Wii Sport Speedway, and had some cool shows. And then I ended up quitting them, and I was in Titanium Black for a little while.
Oh, okay.
We played some shows down in New York. I learned that whole record, and did some shows, with Terry and the guys in that band. And it was a solid band, just the travel. He's like, you got to get your visa. I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute.
Wait
I
a
don't know
minute.
if I'm ready for this yet, but it was, we had some cool gigs. And then that while I was in Titanium Black, I was actually going to a show. I did a Kiss tribute with Wayne Johnson, and this is summer of 2005.
I can see that.
Summer of 2005. I was
Kiss. Wayne plays Kiss. I didn't
Who
know.
knew?
I didn't know Wayne.
Yeah.
Who knew?
He's a closet Kiss fan.
You think? The whole world's his closet then.
Yeah.
So he had asked me to do it as a benefit, and Mike Merrifield was a drummer. I don't even think I had met at the time. And on my way to that Kiss tribute, I get a call from Dave King, and he goes, "What are you doing Thursday?" This is a Saturday or Sunday, I go, I don't know, working. And then he goes, we need a fill-in for, and I thought he needed a fill-in for him, like guitar.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, bass. And I go, I've never picked up a bass, let alone played, you know what I mean? I might have picked it up and played like the Brian Miller's theme or something.
Right.
Right.
I mean, just messing around. And it's for bass, and their bass player quit and their drummer quit. So
this is with who?
Jake. Funny story is Mike Merrifield. Let's go ahead.
No, I said what band? This is for Crank.
So Mike. So for Crank, it was Dave and Jake, and then Mike Merrifield was going to be the drummer,
right?
Which I was doing a Kiss thing with, and so he was already, I think, practicing with those guys. So I'm like, Dave, I've never played bass. He goes, don't worry, we got a bass, we got an amp. We just need somebody, a body there to play these songs. So this is on a Saturday or Sunday. I had 4 days. Send me all the songs. I woodshedded for 3 straight days. We practiced two of those nights. I had a blue binder with cheat sheets in it. And I don't even remember One Hard Crank, but we didn't have a set list. It was not like these are the songs that we're going to play in this order. It was, what do you want to hear? What's all request hour? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, so
it was.
I'd be back with the folder open up behind the bass amp, the borrowed bass amp. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'd be flipping through the note, trying to look for whatever My Chemical Romance song, whatever song we're playing. But we had like a chemistry, like Dave and I are like immediately like we're moving around, switching sides of the stage, jumping off speakers. And this is like the first show. And I'm like, after the show, Jake's like, you're our new bass player. I'm like, okay, so because they had great gigs at the time. So I'm like, what the heck? I had fun and they had great gigs lined up. So I did that for, I don't know how long, 4 or 5 years. We were doing it in a harbor, and
oh god, yeah,
it was just a ton of fun.
Well, you figure
playing with those
guys.
Because
Dave King and Merrifield went down. Dave King and Merrifield were on tour with Belladonna with, when he came out with his solo album.
Yeah.
They replayed Scott Schrader and Darren Turnbull. Darren Scott. Sorry.
Yeah. Get it right.
Sorry, stage name.
Yeah. and then right, I know. And then Crank kind of ended, and we had Joel at the time. Joel was the bass player, and Joe Rabine, and we're like, we want to keep this going. So we ended up forming Scars and Stripes from that, and we had a different singer for the first 2 shows, and then it kind of fell apart. And Stacy Waterman called Bill and said, because he was in Decree at the time,
right?
Said we had a gig, it was Thanksgiving Eve at Jake's, and said, the guys in Scars have, their singers he was sick, and then so Bill came in that night and sang the whole set with us, and afterwards, I'm like, can you be our new singer? You know what I mean? And he goes, I'll be your singer, on one condition, if you bring my friend Kevin in. So it was Kevin Brennan.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't know Kevin at all. So he came in and we got together, and we had great chemistry. Kevin we did a lot of Avenged Sevenfold, and he was really played that stuff well. And so we had a good combination between me and him, and that was how Scars started.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a ton of fun in that band too.
So let me ask you a question.
Boom, boom, boom.
Hold on before you do that.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I think one of my fondest memories was opening for Crank almost every weekend.
Oh yeah, I know. Reloaded, right?
No, Lockdown.
But Lockdown. Yeah.
Yep.
It was either you guys or Reloaded. It was one of those. The revolving.
It was too.
Of, opening bands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. And those shows were crazy. I mean,
I remember
crazy.
I remember one we did at the place up north, in Pennville.
Oh, Monterey's.
Yeah.
And they were turning people away at the door when we started.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy
crazy.
Shit.
Well, it wasn't as packed as when you guys played. People were just trying to leave quickly and go hang out in the parking lot till the real band started. So that's why it seemed like there was a lot of people.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Right?
Yeah, those shows were insane.
Yes.
That was a good time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They did.
And we'd start at 10.
Yep.
And we'd play straight through, no breaks, till 2:30, 2:45.
Yeah.
And our drummer Mike would be back there, be like ready to pass out, and he'd be like, he would literally say, I cannot play any more songs. I have to stop.
Right.
You know? And it was crazy. I remember one night at gatherings in Phoenix, you know, which is, you know, we're before Monterey's became Monterey's.
Right.
And Crazy Bitch had just hit the airwaves, was blowing up. And we ended up playing that song 3 times that night. 3 times. I was sick of the song already.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, those shows were absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm. I want to say one of my moments with you and Scars, I'll never forget.
Yeah.
You, Bill, and I are sitting on a picnic table at Sharky's, and you guys are going, we're thinking of changing the name. And I looked at the two of you, and I was like, are you two fucking idiots? You have a brand.
Yeah,
Do not change a thing. And Ollie's like, well, I said, so what? Change your set list. Don't change the name Scars.
Right.
Keep that forever until people are like, Scars.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Which still doesn't happen.
You mean like they are now?
Mm-hmm.
No, they're not. People still love Scars, you know? And
no,
thank God for Scars, because the band Fossil will be opening for Scars the 28th at Sharky's.
Here we go.
Just want to say Fossil.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug, Fossil. Getting paid.
Remember,
nothing.
No free plug.
No,
Remember,
just a free band.
Right.
Fuck. Yeah. How much?
We never paid our openers.
Yeah.
We had one band one time. The dad reached out to me. He's like, "You think you can pay these guys?" I'm like, "No, we're not in the business of." You know what I mean?
Who was it? Dead Rose.
Hey.
No comment.
I like those guys though.
Yeah. I got a Dead Rose story real quick. Eric, the grind singer, we played at Harbor Fest one year, and before we played, they had a battle of the bands, and Dead Rose won it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're watching these guys going, holy shit! Like they're playing like Guns N' Roses and Metallica like perfectly, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, we got to get these guys to open for us. So we booked them at gatherings, their first ever club show.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I remember we're sound checking and whatever up on the stage, and all of a sudden you see these little kids, these little heads walk in.
Yeah, because they were little, dude. They were 15.
Little. I mean, they were little.
Yeah.
Like, Jimmy Falco was 4 foot nothing. I mean, he's 4
exactly.
foot 2 now, but he's
right.
But he comes in with these little amps, you know. And I remember Kurt, our sound guy. I remember him looking at me going, "What the hell are you doing to me?
Right?
What are you doing?"
Yep.
I go, trust me. So then, while they were playing, you know, they're playing Metallica and whatever. And I remember people walking in going, wow, this is cool. And as you'd walk in, you turn and you'd see the stage, and they'd be like, oh my God. It's kids.
These are little kids.
You know?
Yeah. They're not. They're midgets. Jimmy Falco's really 80.
Yeah. You just don't know it.
Yeah. So that was the first Dead Rose club show was opening for Grind. And then they, you know, went from there. And
the first
now Jimmy's and Scar, and everything comes full circle.
The first time I saw him was Halligan's 2. They opened for the Audacity.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, Stacy helped them out big time. Stacy helped Dead Rose out. She saw potential in them, and you know, they owe a lot to her. They owe a lot to guys like yourselves to have them come up and you know, those younger bands back in the early 90s, you know, late 2000s. You got guys, Candid Daydream. You know, Candid.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys were fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a ton of good bands back in the early 2000s. Like you know, Peep and I can't even remember all the bands, but there was so many good. We used to have original bands open up for us. There were so many of them, and they loved the, you know, the exposure just to play in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You know?
What's one of the most fucked up things that's ever happened on stage for you?
Oh, jeez. We don't have enough time.
Don't even give me this shit. You and I had this conversation earlier. You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
You told me it's when you crapped your pants that time, but we weren't going to talk about that.
That was our friend. That was our friend Joe.
Right.
That was our friend Joey Allen.
Joey Allen. Yep.
Oh boy. It happened to somebody at Taste of Syracuse too. I won't say the band, but
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
We're not going to mention ZZ Top's name at all. Was it 38 Special?
Listen, you're in the right genre.
38 Special, right? Was it 38's bad? Well, like they're gonna fucking listen to this.
No comment.
Jesus Christ. That
anyway,
depends.
Right.
We played with Under the Gun at Max one New Year's Eve, and we used to have those boxes, 1 hour crank.
Yeah.
Attitude box.
Eagle boxes.
Eagle boxes with the lights.
Prima Donna box,
and whatever you want to call it. So we used to jump, and I jumped and I tripped on something. And I landed, my tailbone landed on the monitor, the wedge.
Oh.
And it was really bad. And I finished the show, but it was horrible.
I had my embarrassing moment.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
At that, I went to jump up on the side stage and my foot caught, and
he did a somersault. You ever seen that before?
No.
You should.
Video. Yeah. Put embed the video on here.
I did that.
I don't think there is one.
No. I did a forward somersault and came back up on 2 feet like it was.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Bleeding profusely.
Oh my God.
And went behind a drum set, grabbed the duct tape, and
He's got gaffer's tape.
I got gaff tape all around my leg.
Fix it.
Oh yeah.
Fixed it.
Still have a scar on my leg from that.
Yep.
I've fallen quite a few times, tripped over fog machines and paddle boards. And
have you ever taken a ride on a boat?
What's that?
Have you ever taken a ride on a boat though?
Such a dick.
Right.
No,
right.
Seriously.
No, seriously.
Have I?
No, have you ever taken a ride on a boat?
He jumps on a boat
while you're playing.
We're playing at.
Oh no, I've not done that.
Where was that?
Right here.
Where was that place that we played?
Would advise against that.
No, it was fun. That was that place in Brewerton.
Yeah, they
had. But I can't. Dominic's.
Yeah.
Outside stage.
That's bug heaven.
Oh my God,
dude!
Mosquitoes
8 million
galore.
bugs. Remember that big giant fucking bug that landed on Bill's guitar?
Oh.
I do.
Because he had that light neon green guitar and everything was just. He jumps on a boat and the guy drives off with the boat.
Yeah, tracked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I walked out to see how far my wireless would go.
On the pontoon boat.
I walked out.
Not that far.
No, it was far.
It went far.
Yeah.
Did it really?
Yeah, I went out.
Right.
I went out on the boardwalk, and there were boats docked, and this one guy goes, "Want a beer?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I jump on the boat, and he goes, "Let's go for a ride." I'm like, "Okay."
And we're like, "Where's he going?" We're in the middle of a set. He's just playing along.
Yeah.
I bet you I was about 3 football fields away before it cut out.
Because you figure you're on the water, so it's just nothing's
impeding. There's no interference.
Right. Yep.
But if he could have felt the dirty looks that the band was giving him from that point,
I bet.
Yeah, that's why we left him on a picnic table at Rolling Wheel Speedway.
Yeah, that too.
Tried to help him we wouldn't help him get down. Said, "You got yourself up there, you get yourself off, motherfucker." Left him there for 3 songs. Yep.
I stood on this
that table was like ready to break. I'm like, I hope this
God.
fucking thing. They had it on TV. It was fucking beautiful.
That's phenomenal.
It was like on ESPN Plus or something.
Yeah, ESPN Extreme for the motorcycle races. 5,000 people.
My wife had to help me down.
It was fucking beautiful.
Oh my God.
So we've, you have those, but that's what makes it.
Yeah,
I know.
Those things make them.
Remember them all.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't Lee Anderson swinging from the scaffolding and then
falling through the floor,
or just falling on his back at the field days.
The field days.
Yeah. Crazy.
So projectile vomiting. Just Joe. Belt not a big note. Well.
Yep.
Oof.
In Germany, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Kevin Dean throwing a drumstick and hitting that girl square between the eyes.
Right here.
Yeah. That was K-Rockathon.
Yeah.
And
he said afterwards he went to the tent and she came over
with the big lump.
And he's like, "Oh, she's gonna sue me."
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
She wanted his autograph.
She goes, "Will you sign my lump?"
Yeah.
Yeah, we did one show. It was Under the Gun and 1 Hour Crank again at the Country Club there.
Oh yeah.
It's torn down now.
Yep.
And it was I think it was a Halloween show. There had to have been 12, 1,300. I mean, it was packed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those where, we did like 5 songs and then they'd play 5 so back and forth. The first song, they were still putting up the lights, like rigging the lights.
Yeah.
I don't remember who the song people were, but they were late doing everything. And as we were playing, they were still fixing stuff. And I remember there was like a light tower and it was not set up properly. And I I think I went over there because we were crazy back in the day. We'd be running around and I bumped it and I saw it go brr, brr, like this, and then it went bam right on the people in front.
Dude, I
Right on the
remember
front.
hearing
And
about
I'm
that.
pretty sure.
I remember that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we got sued. I don't know what happened. Hopefully I didn't incriminate myself, but
No.
but yeah, it was a rush job, and you know what I mean. But
So for those of you just joining in,
crazy.
if you're going to sue, we have Todd Falco on right now, Mr. Jimmy Stiles.
I think it's past the statute
It is.
limitation.
Yeah.
Girl still doesn't have an eye, Todd.
I know.
It's him, damn it.
She's a quadriplegic now.
She's been a pirate for 20 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, my
The guy who
God.
didn't know how to play bass.
Yeah. That's your
Yeah.
excuse.
So we
And
hear
you're-
you're singing now.
So,
Yeah.
well, wait. Back up.
No, you're singing
Yeah.
now, right?
Oh, backup
When
singer.
when did you go? So, okay, you leave Scars.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you go country?
Yes.
Right.
Oh, I didn't leave Scars.
Well, okay, yeah.
Okay, so we were playing Balloon Fest. It was either Balloon Fest or Fox Fest, one of those, because I mix them up now. And Country Swagg was on before Scars. And I feel like Mike Johnson might have reached out to me previously, and I kept saying no. I was like one of those, I'm not playing country, you know. And it's stupid now, but I remember him coming off the stage as we were like going on, you know, to set up. And I remember him saying to me, "You're ready to come over to the dark side yet?" And I'm like, "No," you know. So another year goes by, and he calls me up. Their guitar player Timmy Horse had a wedding or something, and they had a good paying gig. And he goes, "Can you do this one gig for us?" Which I think was a scam. It was a scam to get me in the band, probably. But can you do this one gig for us? So I'm like, I'll do it. So I had about 3 weeks. I didn't know not one damn song, and sent me the set list, and I learned as much as I could. It's it's new countries, modern country is pretty simple. It's kind of like classic rock, very formulated.
Exactly.
And learned best that I could, and the gig went well, and pay was good, and people are having a good time. And that was kind of when country was kind of, I mean, it still is, but it was, really blowing up. And so he asked me, "What do you think about joining now?" I'm like, "All right, I'll do it." So I was doing both bands for a while, and for about a year and a half. So I think 2017, 16, 17, 18, I was doing about 120 shows a year between the two bands, and it just got to be too much for me.
Yeah.
And so it was nothing against the guys in Scars or anything. I love playing with the guy. This felt newer and fresh to me at the time, and so I kind of like, I'll stick with Country Swagg and see how that goes. And we've had a blast. And then obviously COVID really changed everything, I think, for everybody. And we started, we had a year and a half of nothing.
Right.
And then when we came back very limited,
Still are,
we
really.
played maybe 7-8 shows. Yes. 7-8 shows last year.
Okay.
And I'm fine with that right now. And, I could never do another 10 to 2 a.m. gig.
No.
No way.
No, but now they're 8 to 11.
I know.
And some are even 7 to 10.
Yeah. You're like,
right.
Okay.
Oh, I know.
I'll go do my 3
give
hours.
me like a 6 to 9.
Yeah.
Sign me up for the happy hours all day long.
Bingo.
And right. And even like the midnight shows, I prepare. I like the whole week. I got to be like, all right, I got a late gig and take a nap. It's horrible. But so now I look back at those just a few years ago, and I'm like, I don't know how he did it.
Right.
I could never go back to doing. And I wouldn't. I don't think I would want to do that at this point. I'm happy. All my stuff here, and
you're happily married now.
And, exactly. So
yes,
so it's nice to just get it out of my system, and who knows, down the road I might do something else. You know what I mean? And
Like what, Todd?
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But
really,
I might want to do something where it's more what I want to do. You know what I mean?
like
I'm
King's
trying to
X.
get that out of my system. Like play for nobody and play King's X.
Yeah.
Play Pleiades and everybody runs to the bat. Yeah.
Right.
Shut up.
The only reason I asked you that is because I remember a conversation you and I had.
Yeah.
And you said to me, "I heard you're in a country band now," and I said, "Yeah," because I was playing with Keith.
Yeah.
And he looks at me. He looks at me and he goes, "Are you sure you want to do that?" I'm like, "Dude, you have no idea how much fun I'm having."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Keith was awesome.
It's true.
I mean, Jesus
It
Christ.
really is.
And
it's a
Keith
blast.
would take an hour and a half break.
Whatever.
So,
Oh my God.
And they didn't
And
care.
honestly, my guitar settings aren't that much different than Scar's.
No, they're not.
Right.
No, I mean it's and there's honestly more guitar solos in the country stuff than a lot of the modern rock stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, even the drumming, country drummers, don't sell them short, dude.
No,
They're
do not.
fucking bangers,
They are
man.
fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you're drummer for
your
drummer
Country
for
Swagg's
Swag.
great band. Timmy and Rob Rob's great.
Yeah.
It's funny because we went to school together. We both went to Lafayette. And,
Yeah.
He was a year younger than me, and so it's just funny again, full circle.
Mm-hmm.
We end up in a band all these years later. But
And Timmy's is a super nice guy.
oh my God, awesome! He's a great guitar player. He's
Yes.
so unassuming.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I know.
Just
He's such a great player. He
He
plays
is,
these
too.
little amps, I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you going to get out of that thing? And then I'm like, whoa.
Yep.
It's in the fingers, that's what it is.
It is.
It's not,
You're right.
it's not what you're playing or what we're playing through. He's just a great player.
He is.
Like very tasteful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and you guys complement each other. There's
we'll see.
there's no egos in that band other than your singer.
Yes. Yes. It's a good offset.
Other than your singer.
We won't. Well,
But you know what?
LSD.
You have to. You have to have
Yes.
the front guy's got to have a little
yeah.
swagger, country swagger.
You have to get up there. Yeah. I don't know any lead singer that doesn't have some of that LSD in them. I don't know one.
I don't either.
It's part of them.
It is.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I'm very humble.
Quick case in point.
I'm very go fuck yourself. I'm very humble.
Oh, I know you are. I know you are. I know you are.
You're such a dick. Oh God, yeah.
But so I'm the Country Swag thing, and then I'm playing with Grind again, just a couple shows a year, just to kind of get that modern rock out of my system.
Yeah.
Playing with Joe. It's the same five guys we played.
I thought Joe's done.
Yeah.
He's gonna still do these couple Grind shows with us.
As long as it's not golf season.
As long as it's not golf season, Don't interrupt his whole world revolves around golf season.
It's either he's golfing or he's complaining about a hernia or he's got to have some kind of an operation.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I love Joe.
He every time I see him, I'm so old. Every time. Like
he's no older than we are.
He just left.
Like, dude, you're younger than me. Come on.
Yeah. He left Infinity.
Yeah, he did.
And they got that other
new
kid
kid
from Cold Front or whatever.
Yeah.
But good for him, Yeah.
But we're playing. I gotta plug the Grind shows.
Go for it.
April 26th at Average Joe's, where everybody plays now. Average Joe's.
Yeah.
April 26th.
Yeah.
Where everybody
there's no place.
plays.
I feel like there's no place left.
Well, listen, that's going to come to an end here soon because summer's coming and he doesn't have shows in the summer.
Yep. You got to do Tiki Bar.
Right.
Oh, Tiki Bar.
Tiki don't want to pay
Oh, the
bar.
Tiki Bar.
Yeah.
Tiki don't want to pay bar?
Tiki don't want to pay bar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. When I hooked you guys up, hooked you guys up with Jay from Filthy Nasty, and you played out of Kegs not too long ago, you opened up for somebody. I don't know who. Your last show, I think, at Kegs.
Was it outside or inside?
Outside. Outside.
Oh! It was like they're kind of hip hoppy with a. what the hell are they called? Red Farron.
Okay.
Red Farron?
I think so.
It was a last minute. Mike said okay, and the band that you opened up for said to Jay, "I don't know who these guys were that you got us, but they were fucking phenomenal." And everybody was calling Jay saying, "You need to have them." And he said, he called me up, and I think Jay was back down in Nashville, and he called me and he's like, "Thank you for making that work because everybody fucking loved those guys."
I remember the show. It was outside, and maybe 600-700 people there, and they were rocking. It was one of those shows where you kind of fed off the audience.
Yep.
Yes,
and he didn't want it to end, and it was over like that.
Yeah, kind of like this
podcast. I had that experience.
Yeah,
playing with Keith because we opened for Montgomery Gentry there.
Awesome.
And Jesus,
Crazy,
what
right?
oh my God.
That was your throw up night.
It was.
Yeah.
But you're like, when you play on that out even the inside
Outdoor,
stage is cool, but the outdoors, you're like rock stars.
Yes.
They got that little catwalk and
and
the eagle ramp or whatever. And they don't, and a lot of people there from out in the country and the boondocks, or they don't know that you live 20 minutes away. They think you're on a tour with these guys.
Yeah, so because they come up to you and they're
fully,
like,
oh yeah, it's wild. And, that's another one of those things where you get like a 45-minute hour set and you just pack it, best song after best song, and then go. You got to try and follow this. You know what I mean? Like, that was a good one. Anytime you play outdoors, there. We opened up for Kane Brown.
Yeah,
and he'd blown up at the time, and I mean, it was just packed from the front the stage all the way to you couldn't see anything but people, and they were rabid. It was insane.
Because
that probably was the best crowd that I've ever played in front of.
When we got there, we did sound check, and there might have been 200 or 300 people there during sound check. And it really wasn't a true sound check. It was just like, okay, can you hear yourself? Yep. All right, good.
Oh, yeah, line check,
yeah. And then the worst part was that there's a guy backstage going, okay, guys, 10 minutes. And I'm like,
I know. Right.
Okay.
I know. Yeah, it's one of those plug and play.
Yeah. And then I'm like, I look at my wife and she goes, she goes, you okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to go back. I'm going to warm up and probably throw up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was nervous as hell.
Usually the bigger shows you play, the less time you have to set up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the Taste of Syracuse and the Kegs. And those shows you have like 20 minutes. And like the biggest shows, you have the least amount of time. So you got to have your shit together, make sure everything's ready to go.
Yep.
When you get up on stage, just plug and go.
And then when you're done, you better get your shit off that stage.
But good times.
Todd, I'm going to ask you this. We're coming. We're coming around the mountain here.
Yep.
I'm going to ask you this: do you still, to this day, get nervous?
Yes. Every show.
Every show.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Absolutely. Every show. Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm nervous right now. You just made me nervous.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I do.
Well, because you said you were going to sing for us.
Oh God.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. You're going to be like, no.
It's going to cost you money.
Oh. See?
Oh. Okay. Dave King.
We'll
Jr.
set up a GoFundMe.
I love you, Dave King.
All right. We'll set up a GoFundMe.
Yeah. We've asked Dave to be on the show. He's like, I don't know if anybody. Nobody will want to hear me. I don't have any stories.
Talk about humble.
Not only that, though, he said, I don't want to say anything that's going to get me in trouble.
And I don't want to be, embarrass me.
Right.
I'm like, dude, we record these.
Right.
Have fun with it.
Right. Yeah.
So many people want to hear guys like yourself, guys like Dave.
Yeah.
Just humble, down-to-earth musicians.
Right.
That still get nervous when you come out on stage.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Always have a big fucking Todd Stiles smile on his face. Todd smiles. He's married now, so you can't be love. The girls love Todd. You can't do that. And I was told, before I was talking to somebody, and I said, yeah, guess who's going to be on the show today? He's like, who? I go, love. Like, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
He's like, wait, but where'd he go? Well, he's married now, so he can't be. Todd Stiles. So I've had to take your place with being the pretty one
I see that.
Syracuse.
I see you got the whole.
I have the bandana.
No.
I have the tattooed arms, and I have some.
All,
I got some bat wings down here we're working on, but you know,
tone them up.
Yeah, we'll do something. Duct tape.
Summer's coming. You got time.
Yeah.
Saran wrap.
There you go. Right.
Saran wrap them really tight.
Spanx.
Spanx.
Do they have arm Spanx? That would be awesome.
It'd be great for you.
They have everything now. They have literally.
I was gonna say.
Everything. Amazon.
Yeah.
I gotta find
Amazon.
something because
Amazon,
when you're riding a
yeah.
motorcycle. And people think you're carrying luggage behind you, and it's just my arms. It's
right.
He's wearing a backpack. What is that back? Oh, those are his arms. Oh
no,
nothing.
Not a good look.
Don't get too close, or I'll hit your wipers with my arms.
Smack.
You fuckers. Dude, I want to thank you for finally doing this after all this time that we've asked you.
It was a lot of fun.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
And you're going to do it again.
Absolutely.
We want to have you on. And
when you get your new project together, whatever that might be.
When he plays with Fossil,
let us
when
know.
he plays with J-Ro and I, we're only playing once every 6 weeks. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, listen, we can't interfere with J-Ro's bowling.
No, J-Ro's bowling and golf. It's a Rabinism.
Yeah.
I never get into golf, sports, anything. It's always been, music for me. But those guys in their golf, it's wild.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is. It's crazy.
No, but
absolutely
now
nuts. But now somebody's got a motorcycle, so
Mr. Motorcycle.
I got two motorcycles now, so I have to ride them equal amounts, so they get jealous.
Jealous of each other.
Yeah,
that'll happen.
So that's my golf. My golf.
But I've had a lot of really good memories with you guys over the years. And
dude, same here.
This is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean,
same here.
Jeff and I used to talk about George Lynch and
oh my god,
Blackberry Smoke, and all, I mean, and just so much fun.
Yes.
Back in the day.
Jeff still has Jeff's has one job. One job was to get Blackberry Smoke on the show, and he's failing miserably. So for those of you out there that want to be a host, co-host on a talk show,
bring it on.
Blackberry Smoke,
bring it on. You can replace me.
You're out.
Whatever.
You'll be out.
I'll go talk to Todd.
Oh, shut up.
There you go.
But yeah, dude, I've always appreciated the gentleman that you have been in the music industry.
I mean, seriously, that's
thank you guys.
And I don't know one person that could
Likewise.
not one person that could say a bad thing about you.
No.
So we always ask, what do you want your legacy to be?
Yeah.
We don't need your legacy.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, we do.
He's a great guy.
Number one. Now, look, when your musical part of this comes to an end.
When you're about to die.
No, not that part.
Yeah.
But when your musical part of this finally comes to an end.
The other day.
Yeah.
What do you want your legacy to be there?
Yeah, just remembered as a team player, easy to get along with, kind of go with the flow, I mean, I'll speak my mind when I have to, but
I never saw you get in an argument with anybody.
No.
Seriously.
Come at me.
Come at me. You have listen, you have no idea what he's like behind the counter.
You just mess up his
But now I'm married and my daughter is we've got a 1.5-year-old granddaughter and
nice.
Another granddaughter on the way at the end of March, so I've got all those amazing things to
dude. Listen,
when are you going to have another kid?
Yeah. No.
I can share this with you because I know what it's like to be a grandfather.
Shut up.
I've got a 1.5-year-old grandson who is just your world changes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
Incredible.
I have 2 granddogs.
Not the same.
Yeah, I know. Trust me.
Sorry, not the same.
I'm counting.
Dogs are amazing.
Yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait to be
that guy.
Big Papa.
Yeah.
Papa.
Yeah, him.
I want to be Papa.
Yeah.
Because
it's incredible.
Yep.
And to see, you probably can't wait to see the music that your grandkids listen to and being involved.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, my son and my daughter have great musical taste because of me.
Yeah, so, right.
A lot of it has to do with we're always playing great music, so they know all of it. And hopefully, I know that they'll pass that on, and keep that
Same here.
alive.
Nothing better than hearing my daughter in her car seat back in the day go, "Wah!" I was like, yes,
I love it. Yeah,
doing it. Yeah.
the best. It's a great feeling, right?
And now she just got back from Nashville yesterday, and she sent me a picture from the Grand Ole Opry.
Oh, nice.
And she's like, on stage. She's like, look at this.
In the circle.
Yeah.
Yep, in the circle.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to Nashville, my wife and I, about 4 years ago, and it's amazing. Grand Ole Opry, the whole tour is
Yeah. She loves country.
incredible.
Does she?
Oh yeah, they love country.
Yeah, you don't realize how emotional it's going to be when you're there. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Awesome, fellas.
That's awesome.
not going to happen anytime soon, but when it does, it does. I'll be excited about it. So I'll never be.
Yeah, absolutely.
My parents, it was like, hey, you're going to be grandparents. They're like, we're too young. Me, I'm like, bring it.
Yeah.
I want to be young grandparent. I want have that kid up on stage with the headphones on while I'm singing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you want to be able to do things with them and while you're young.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
Totally agree.
all right.
Yep.
Well, brother, thank
Todd,
you so much for being on the show. Don't go
It was
anywhere.
a lot of fun.
We're gonna roll out with our music and our credits and all that good shit, and then
So just hang there for a minute.
yeah. So
All right,
just
bye.
stay. Just don't go anywhere.
Take care, guys.
Just stay there. Just stay there. Don't go.
Don't go
anywhere.
anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. Ah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
You've been listening to the good,
The band.
the ugly. I'm Big Papa.
And I'm just Jeff.
That's just
Todd Stiles.
Love, love, love Todd Stiles. Yes. We want to thank our sponsors. DJ Life's a Beach.
The Print Shop Underground.
Uncle Jimmy's Local Live Music.
Snarky Productions.
Snarky. But we want to thank Blackheart Tattoos. Don't forget, you need to
And
get a
Hogwash.
tattoo. Hogwash if you need your bike washed.
Spring's coming, guys.
And, of course, our favorite and most incredible sponsor,
Ultimate Ears.
where you can hear your own tears.
With Ultimate Ears.
What do we have to say, Jeff?
Be nice to each other.
Don't be a dick. Peace out, everybody. Don't do it. You're going to do it, aren't you?
Recording stopped.
Such a dick.
I like that one.
Recording stop.